I think there's been a solid update when it comes to ICP, and let me explain why, even though nothing I say is financial advice and I am not telling anyone to do anything. However, did you know that something called near intense recently integrated into OEC? Now, we do know that OEC is built by Dfinity. It's been, I guess, around for quite some time now, and it's been pretty popular, but seeing again near intense integrate into OEC, I think it's a pretty awesome update. I think it's a pretty solid update. And the reason why is because if we take a look at what is near intense, now near intense is allegedly an intent-based architecture built on the near protocol. Now, this is where things become a little bit more interesting, in my opinion, because again, the key word or the key phrase, I should say, is built on the near protocol. Now, the thing is this, the near protocol, let's keep in mind, near, for instance, allegedly, the last time I checked, approximately made up around 24.5% of Grayscale's AI portfolio. Let's just let that sink in. Has anyone ever heard about the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust? Yeah, I'm talking about that Grayscale. Keep in mind, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust allegedly, it holds approximately 154,000 Bitcoin almost. And if we just kind of do some basic math, basically that's around $11 billion worth of Bitcoin as of right now. So if anything, I think that showcases the scale of Grayscale, even though I didn't intend that to rhyme, but it kind of did. But besides that, the Grayscale AI portfolio holds that much near, and then we see near intense, which again is built on the near protocol, recently, I guess, being integrated into OIC, which is built by Dfinity. I think this right here is pretty cool. Now, in case someone doesn't really know what the near protocol is, I just kind of want to give a surface level explanation in a more, I guess, basic way that's more understandable. Now, if I take a look at the near protocol, what makes it so famous? People like to tell me, well, no one really cares about it, but here's the thing. It's kind of originally known as this project out there that does have an aspect of sharding technology. Now, what is that? Through sharding, the network is split into multiple sections known as shards. The workload on the network is distributed amongst these different shards, and as a result of that, it just becomes very scalable. Granted though, Near isn't the only project out there that has an aspect of sharding technology. We take a look at Silica, which allegedly is the world's first ever sharding-based blockchain. We also take a look at, for instance, in the case of Harmony. Again, Near is not the only one, but I think it's one of the most popular ones, if not the most popular as of late, just seeing the recent strides it's been making, especially in regard to AI. So when I take a look at, in the case of, again, near intense being integrated into OIC and then just seeing how massive and how popular near is, I just think that right there is a pretty cool thing in regard to Dfinity overall. And I think as a result, maybe translating well into the internet computer, fundamentally speaking. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's just going to automatically do things to the charts. No, I don't think so. That requires like more of a broad change in terms of market sentiment, in terms of just the perception of this market overall. It's probably going to require that for any sort of significant move or anything like that when it comes to ICP. But I think I can't deny that recent integration that I saw was pretty impressive. And I think if anything, it could only mean a good thing moving forward when it comes to the internet computer and as well as Dfinity from a fundamental perspective. Now, granted though, I mean, we've seen like a slight recovery when it comes to the space overall, but really nothing that extensive. I mean, if I take a look at ICP, the recovery has only been around 10% in the past week, so it's not like the worst, but not the best either. But you know what? If I'm still a fan of ICP, I'm not going to be upset at that. But also, let's take this into consideration. We already see that OIC built by Dfinity, right? And then we see Caffeine AI, what Dfinity did with that. So that right there, just straight off the bat, if we take a look at OIC and Dfinity, and then we take a look at also Dfinity and Caffeine AI, they've been doing things. It's not like they're being lazy and not doing anything. That doesn't seem to be the case. Other projects out there, very lazy, in my opinion, in some hypothetical cases where they just don't really want to do anything. In which case, I mean, it's their choice. I can't control anyone. But at the same time as well, it's kind of like, why not even try though? At least try, right? That's sometimes my perspective. What I like about Dfinity is that the team just seemingly hasn't given up. I mean, I even talked about this update in one of my previous videos, and it was in regard to how Dfinity was even looking for a new engineer. And keep in mind, it was like at a time like that wasn't doing the best when it comes to the altcoin space. So we still saw that, and I think if anything, it's a testament to what Dfinity is doing. I mean, if they're looking to hire new individuals, I think if anything, they might be looking to hypothetically expand, maybe, because other projects out there, they're trying to reduce the team, they're trying to slow down operations, but when it comes to Dfinity, it feels like they're trying to kind of, I guess, ramp up operations. So I do like seeing that. And again, with the recent release of Caffeine AI version 3, that was a pretty amazing milestone. The Era Computer, people could tell me, well, this is not a project where people really care. But I kind of have a little bit of a rebuttal when it comes to that, because even if I take a look at a post according to Dominic Williams, which we all know is the founder of Dfinity, but besides that point, he did mention how there's only one, allegedly. Now, this is according to him, but I'm just saying, he says the only one is the Era Computer, which is a very bold statement, but I think that right there is pretty impressive if that is hypothetically the case. Dfinity might have started this trend of things being fully on chain, allegedly. Now, why do I think so? It's because some other projects out there now are beginning to kind of talk about this, in which case we've seen Dfinity talk about things being on chain for quite a while now. But now other projects are beginning to talk about it. It's like, for instance, take a look at Avalanche, a very massive layer one blockchain. Keep in mind, there's 2 Avalanche ETFs on NASDAQ. That's how massive Avalanche is. But besides that point, Avalanche recently in a post, they were talking about things being on chain. So imagine that. Something as massive as Avalanche is even talking about that. So I think clearly, if let's say things being on chain does become a narrative moving forward, guess who's one of the pioneers, or arguably maybe the kind of pioneer in terms of talking about it in a mainstream type of way? Dfinity. And of course, if Dfinity is there, the Era Computer, it wouldn't surprise me if that became one of the ones that people cared about if the market were to pick up again and hypothetically people did care about the narrative of things being on chain. But that's a pure hypothetical. Only time will tell. But I'm just saying, sometimes during a time when the market recovers, certain narratives, it just feels like they form out of nowhere sometimes. It's like, for instance, people back then cared about memes, and then they moved on to other market sectors out there. Imagine if, let's say, suddenly projects that have a focus on being on chain becomes a narrative. The Internet Computer might just be hypothetically right there. But yeah, we'll wait and see. It's just a pure hypothetical again at the end of the day. ICP still around $2.50. Hasn't done much since my last video, but you know what? I'm still waiting here. I'm still patiently just observing, and that's really about it. I'm holding, and there's really nothing else I can do other than that. But I'll be sure to make more updates moving forward. So I just want to say thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate it, and I hope you all have a very nice day. It's Lee the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.